Good evening. It is an absolutely gorgeous evening out here. We've been dealing with some thunderstorms. Let me talk to you about this video because this video is a little bit different than anything I've done in 17 years. This is a little bit more personal. Now, I've been doing this YouTube thing for close to 17 years. In some form or fashion or another, I've always integrated YouTube into my businesses. And it's kind of funny because I got a notification the other day from YouTube. Congratulations, your channel is 8 years old and you have 500,000 subscribers. Now that's my main channel, How to a Doc. The Savage Prepping channel is something I started just to sort of get people in the mindset of being prepared. I am going to include a clip from Shawn Ryan, and Shawn has done a fantastic job of updating everyone and doing interviews with Sarah Adams, with Scott, all the intelligence people about the information they know for sure that there are over 1,000 trained terrorists that are in our country right now that are planning a homeland attack. Basically what they want to do is they want to do an October 7th Israel attack, but they want to take that times 10, 15, 20. So you're talking about the lives of probably somewhere between 10,000 and 40,000 Americans when this happens. But I'm going to deal with this differently. I will include on the page below, I'm going to link below, and there on that page I will put videos that you guys need to watch to understand the information that has been disseminated and has been gathered by these intel, CIA, former CIA targeters, experts. You need to watch those videos. I'm not going to rehash that, but what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to talk about the psychological implications and what will actually happen. In other words, how does the public react? Does the person that's supposed to go to Walmart, are they going to be going to Walmart? The person that runs the gas station, what's going to happen? How much is going to shut down, and what do you need to do to prepare for this? Now, after you watch those videos, I would say only about probably 20 to 30% of you will go watch them, but the ones that you do watch, you will say to yourself, there's probably a pretty good chance that this is going to happen. When is it going to happen? It might happen next week. It might happen in 12 months. We don't know. We don't know an exact date, but it's going to be bad. And in this clip that I'm going to show you, I want you to listen to, I'm going to snip about 6 minutes out of it. I want you to understand, I want you to listen to Scott. And what Scott talks about is listen for the term horrorism. And then what I want you to do is I want you to listen to the point where he talks about the difference between 9/11 and the DC sniper. How a localized attack where you live and work and your whole life is a lot different than some big attack far away. So as an example, let me give you one example that I always talk about. I kind of joke about it, and it's not worth joking about. It's not nice to joke about it, but let's talk about 9/11. Honestly, 9/11, while it was a huge deal for our country, if you think about it, 5 days later, did you take your kids to soccer practice? Yes. Did you keep your vet appointment? Yes. Were you able to go shopping at Walmart? Yes. That's the difference. Something big that happened away over there. It's not in your neighborhood. It's not where you live, and that's the difference. The paralyzing effect that this will have. And every single household you need to take action right away. You have to have 30 days worth of supplies, be able to lock down in place, shelter in place with your family for 30 days. Now, it may only be a week, it may only be 2 weeks, but let's plan for 30 days. And so that's what we're going to talk about. Now, here's a funny story that before I'm going to put up this clip that I want you to listen to. Rachel works out here, and I have a couple people that work out here. My tree guy was here, and I really dove into this with them the other day for a couple minutes. And it's funny, I got a text from her, and she said, we're out at Costco right now, and including my mom. We're out here putting together one of these packs, these boxes. I'll show you these boxes that I talk about. You can go to Walmart, you can go to Costco, you can go to Sam's Club, and you can put together, it's real inexpensive, just put together dry goods, canned goods, and put one of these boxes away so that you know that you have food for 30 days so you don't have to leave your house. My heart and my soul is saying, I need to get this message out. I want to get it out to my friends and my family, and you guys have been with me a long time. This needs to be discussed. So let me go ahead. Let me put this clip up. Watch this one clip from Scott. Now, Sarah Adams is fantastic. She's been in all kinds of interviews. She's a former CIA targeter. These people are the people that have the intel. Let me put up this clip and listen to this clip, and then I'll come back and we'll talk more about what's going to happen and what you guys need to do. Okay, so politically, I'm an independent. She's a hippie liberal. And yeah, the other day I had a talk with her for about 10 minutes and described the upcoming Homeland attack. I sent her links to videos to watch. And after you did that, what was the feeling inside you?
Oh God, sheer panic.
Panic. And that's what I want. That's my whole intention with this video, is to grab you by the collar and shake you. Not only her, but then her husband, then your mom, and it started to go. Folks, I'm telling you, I've never done 17 years I've been doing YouTube, on and off throughout my businesses. I've never done a video like this, and I'm warning you, this is going to be a shelter-in-place incident. This is unlike anything else. You're not going to be out trying to help neighbors. You're going to be sheltering in place, and you need to have 2 to 4 weeks worth of supplies, period, hands down. Anyways, the hippie and I are going to go work in the garden, but I've warned you. So after our talk, where did you do yesterday?
I went to Costco, stocked up on about 2 weeks worth of supplies. My husband went to Academy, got a bunch of ammunition. We just got as many supplies as we could so that we could be, and we're kind of self-sufficient, but we really just kind of stocked up for what sounds to be the inevitable.
Yes.
So.
And it's going to be a lockdown event, and that's what people don't understand.
Right.
You guys don't need it. Any introduction. All of you have been on the show. Scott several times, Sarah several times, legend. But just a quick intro, legend. Can't reveal your face because you're still doing the secret squirrel stuff. And you're back and forth in and out of CONUS, so we will reveal your identity. But Afghan-American, former Army intelligence, Sarah, former CIA analyst, former CIA targeter, Scott, former Green Beret, and all of you guys have a very extensive intel type network, and they all seem to be pretty different networks. It's not like you guys are just all getting your information from the same sources. And so that's kind of what we're going to cover today. And I just want to say thank you for coming back. I love, even though the conversations are heavy, I just love seeing you guys. So thanks for making it back.
Tell us what it was like to fight that enemy. We can do that. Another really big piece is suicide bombers, right? That they plan to do suicide bombings here. Well, what do we need to learn about suicide bombings? Because we don't have suicide bombings in our community, even simple things. What kind of standoff should we just have from a metal detector? We should start those standoffs now, right? Because then if the bomber gets freaked out, blows up, you save lives just by putting a standoff going up to the metal detector. So if we start understanding these things, we can put little things in place that do save lives.
And I interviewed several intelligence analysts from the IDF, and I just asked them, at the end, I said, what would you say to American analysts, law enforcement? And 4 separate ones that I interviewed, they all, first of all, they sat there for like an uncomfortable period of time. Like you could tell they were wanting to say something, and then finally they were just like, fuck it, I'm gonna say it. And what they said was, essentially, we live this every day. Like we live this in our communities. We're always facing this imminent threat. It's something that we've kind of come to terms with, and we were completely caught off guard. Like we were not ready for this. We were not ready for what came our way. And they came across, they came across the border, and then they went back. They said to me, you all have not even allowed yourself to even think about this. They have been among you for 4 years. It is going to be 10x what they did to us on October 7th. To the man and the woman, they said that. And they all were separate interviews.
Wow.
And when Al-Qaeda planned this, remember the Hamas attacks they were involved in planning, they planned the U.S. Homeland attack to be 10 times the size of the Hamas attack. To them, the Hamas attacks was the dress rehearsal. So we have to remember the attack on us is going to be a lot larger.
And again, I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I really do, but it's just all of the different points. It's the different points of interviews that I've conducted, including with these case studies. And if you even just consider the fact that one law enforcement officer that does a lot of tactical training around the country, he watches your show diligently, and he contacted me and he said, Scott, I train all over the country. I train SWAT teams, advanced tactics. He said, I'm telling you right now, we're not ready for this in terms of response, primarily because the typical scenario that we deal with are single shooters.
Yep, one active shooter.
We do not deal with teams of 8 to 10 that are prepared to fight to the death. In Mumbai, for example, in 2008, there were 35 candidates that tried out that were initially groomed for the role. 10 were selected. 9 of the 10 fought to the death. They knew that they were not coming out, right? And so we've just never faced anything with that. And then if you look at, for example, the Crocus City Music Hall or the Crocus Music Hall just recently where ISIS hit in Russia, that was a complex attack where they had incendiary devices. They set the place ablaze. They were extremely well armed with long guns and short guns, grenades, and they were taking the time to cut throats as they went, and making sure that it was covered and amplified. So you're talking about extremely well-trained individuals who are prepared to die and who frankly know what they're doing. And we don't think about that. We don't train that way. And I'm not saying that to create panic. I'm saying that's just a pragmatic responsibility that in this day and age that we live in, and particularly considering our border's been open for 4 years, how could we assume that has not happened? I mean, even if you didn't have the GWAT veteran reporting that you have, knowing the mandate that groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda have against our, demise, like, why would we not assume that number of people are here prepared to do that? I mean,
we've seen how effective the training is. I mean, the last time Sarah was on, she gave us a clip. We'll roll it again right now. But I mean, in my 14 years of being over there, I've never seen a combatant move like that or shoot like that. And go ahead.
Yeah, no, and then another really interesting thing when he brings up the ISIS Russia attack. So they trained multiple teams for that attack. And the first team essentially got thwarted and wrapped up. So the Russians thought they stopped the plot. And then those guys came in and basically did that attack, which is very smart. And we're not used to those kind of tactics. Backup teams for these plots. That's a new thing. So we can even have people in the government, and we do have people they picked up 8 ISIS guys last year and think they thwarted the Homeland plot. So the terrorists are also doing things to make you think, okay, you're ahead of the game. You stop this. And then they had a whole backup team that went in and successfully did that attack.
And I think you have to think about, I'll just say this real quick. It's just, we have to assume, I think another thing is strategic surprise. If you look at, if you just study these groups, they are very good at not just tactical surprise, but strategic surprise, where they surprise the nation. They surprise the larger body at scale. And when that happens, what follows is a level of institutional paralysis. Everything's locked, everything's paralyzed, and so when that happens, you've got these groups that are capable of what my buddy Dave at the agency calls not terrorism, but horrorism. They're able to bring a level of just unmitigated horror at an interpersonal level, and then they'll even amplify it with body cams. So you're not, it's strategic surprise, strategic paralysis, hold ground, mass casualties, that kind of event. We've just never dealt with that here, and I think we're due. I just do. I don't think that you're going to see, one law enforcement officer that I interviewed told me, he said, I was in DC for the 9/11 attack. He said I was 2 blocks from the Pentagon. Right. And he said, that attack happened, explosion, F-16s flying supersonic just above the treetops. And right over here, the McDonald's was still open. People are still getting food, but yet when the DC sniper, 2 dudes in the back of a car for 3 weeks, he was there for that too. The entire city was paralyzed and locked down. People on a knee getting gas, kids not going outside to play. And he said, that's the difference. That's the difference is when there's the spectacular thing that's over there, but then there's where you live and you work and you play. And they have figured that out. If you look at their attacks over the last, 10 years, every single time, it's local, complex attacks right where we live, work, and play.
Okay, so I know that video was a little bit heavy, but hopefully it sort of grabbed you by the collar and shook you to say, why haven't I heard of this? This is the problem. The problem is that intelligence, the government is basically refusing to accept that or to notify the public about it. And this is word of mouth that has to get out. You need to share this information with your family, your tight group, and you need to come up with a plan. So what's the plan? Well, this is going to be a lot different. So let's take a look at something like Hurricane Helene. Hurricane Helene happens, and what do? It's all about community. You immediately get out, you help other people. There's a hurricane, you go help your neighbor. This is different. This is going to be a lockdown event because you're going to have these pockets of things that are going on. You're not going to know what's next. You basically are going to have to shelter in place, which is what happens when you have any kind of assault like this or attack. You will shelter in place, but it probably will be for an extended period of time. So let's say it lasts a week or 2 weeks. I don't know how long it's going to last. And what you have to do is you have to remove the need to be able to go out. You need to remove that need. So you're going to be locked down. So you need to set aside something that gives you peace of mind to say, I know I can shelter in place and I have what I need. So in our previous videos on Savage Prepping, I talked to you about these storage containers where you can go out to Costco, Sam's Club, Walmart. You can buy dry goods. You can buy rice, pasta, you can buy canned goods, you can buy chilies, you can buy soups, you can buy whatever you need. But think about the things that you use on a daily basis. You're not going to be able to go to Walmart. You're not going to be able to go shopping because basically those places are going to be shut down probably for a good week or two. And so what do you need? Put it into a tin, go out, go buy it. It doesn't cost much money at all. Go buy it and put it into one of these tins and stick it in the closet. Of course, you're going to have to adjust that based on your family size, but you don't touch this stuff. Leave it in there. So, and even stupid stuff if you want, just think about deodorant and toothpaste and toilet paper. Now, toilet paper I know brings back memories of COVID, but seriously, what are you going to need? What are you going to run out of? Here's one of these tins, these bins I'm talking about. This is actually a small version that'll fit in the closet, but you can get 2 of these and stack these up, fill it up. Now, I also talk about the fact that a lot of people will say, you need to vacuum seal this and you need to do it in a certain way. In the video on the channel, I show you where you can go out and buy like pasta. Pasta is a great thing to have. I buy my stuff at Sam's Club because it all comes in plastic. Each individual thing comes in a plastic wrap. And then I put that inside of a trash bag and then I put it inside of a bin. And I have eaten that pasta 4 years later with no shrink wrap, no vacuum seal. And it was perfect, tasted perfect. The same thing, rice preserves a long way. I love Wendy's chili in a can if you can find it. Sam's Club sells that. That stuff is phenomenal. But you can buy things like heavy stews and chilies and stuff that you can put on top of the pastas. Don't spend a whole bunch of time and money on stuff like canned green beans and corn, stuff that's not going to give you a whole bunch of nutritional. Spinach is good. Not everybody has what I have, and I'm very realistic about that. The average person, the average house has a pantry and they have a small yard and that's it. I'm here on 40 acres. I have a garden that produces 3,000 pounds of produce every year. I have 30 chickens. I get 2 dozen eggs a day. I have 4 water sources, including 2 deep wells, a shallow well, and a pond. I have complete power backup systems. I have redundant systems. I have gas power backup and I have solar backup. I have large battery backup systems. I have dual internet systems. I have satellite, plus I have T-Mobile. So I have a bunch of that stuff that I don't have to worry about. I'm out fishing. I go down to the beach house. I relax. I take a vacation. I come up here. I fish. We work on stuff. I don't have to worry about that. I have taken care of that, and that's what I want you to do. I want you to have that peace of mind. But at the same time, I want you to come up with a plan where you discuss this with your family, because what's going to happen, I got to discuss this with my kids. My kids have no idea. They're flipping through Instagram and TikTok, and they're not going on listening to these podcasts and understand what is the potential to happen. And when it shows up on TV, the psychological impact, like Scott said, 9/11 was terrorism. It put fear and terror into people. This upcoming attack is going to put horror into people. Horrorism. There's a big difference. And the psychological impact will be lasting for years. Then there is the possibility of the domino effect. What effect will this have on the economy? I guarantee you that this, if you're looking for a recession trigger, I guarantee you this is one of them. So there's all kinds of things that you need to sort of think about, but you can have peace of mind knowing that you have enough goods stored away somewhere where you can say, honey, we're locking down in place. 2 weeks, we're going to be able to survive here. Now let's talk about personal protection. I'm a big believer, being former Marine. I also was attached to CID. I'm a big believer in personal protection. I have plenty of guns. I have ARs. I have 9mm. I have hunting rifles. I have over 3,000 rounds. I'm not concerned about that. But here's the thing that a lot of people say, well, I'm going to go out. You're not going to go out, because you start walking around your neighborhood or walking around with an AR strapped around you, someone may mistake you for one of the attackers. That happened recently at one of the protests. A guy was just walking down the road with an AR on him, and one of the peacekeepers that was attending tried to shoot the guy and ended up killing a bystander. Crazy stuff can happen. That's what I'm saying. You basically just relax, calm down, watch the news, unfortunately deal with what's going to happen, keep your family safe, just build up some supplies so you don't have to go out. That's all you're going to have to worry about. If you guys have any comments, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them down below. I really don't want to do it, but I might do one follow-up video on this. If you guys have a lot of questions, I'll do a follow-up video on it. But that's pretty much it. Now I'm going to go. I'm all prepared. I'm all set, and I've got the message out to people I know and I care about. I'm going to go live my life. I don't have to worry anymore. Get prepared. Doc.